Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to MSN Podcast TV, where we're here to motivate, strengthen, and network. It's December 21st, and this is our Christmas episode. And you're probably wondering, where is Monique Blue? Well, we're on two different sites, and we're filming in two different locations. I'm here in Central Florida, Orlando, Florida, my home city, and she's in her home city of Jacksonville, Duval. What's up? Shout out to North Florida and South Georgia. Thank y'all for tuning in each and every week as you do. And you're probably wondering why I'm sitting here taking so long to introduce my guest. Well, let me tell you something. She don't really need no introduction, but I'm gonna give her an introduction. She has been a part of writing grants for the last 45 years, so she is a professional grant writer. She is called the Grant Guru, none other than Miss Beverly Burgess, who is now joining me for this Christmas special, and she's going to talk to us about some great things that you guys need to hear. Everybody needs to have this in their back pocket. Somebody who can help you get some free money and how to start your own business, how to do just about anything when it comes to money. All right, so without further ado, Miss Beverly Burgess, how you doing today?
Caliboi.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. For a long time. I am happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. And of course, like I said, my co-host is not here. She would have loved to be here to sit here and talk with you and ask some questions. But I have the privilege of conversating with you, not just over the phone, but in live color.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. All right, so let's get started. First of all, let's tell everybody where you're from and how you got started in writing grants.
I am originally from Orlando, Florida. I grew up, started working in grants when I was 14 years old. I was working in low-income housing. Okay. So this lady by the name of Marsha LeBrie took me under her wing and taught me about HUD grants, how the housing industry works. And it opened my eyes to how people invested in real estate, which in the state of Florida, you don't need a license to invest or own real estate. Okay. But it showed me how people became millionaires and billionaires in this industry. And one thing I can say, most people don't know this about our current President Trump. When he started out in housing, he didn't use his money. He used HUD money. Wow. So it's always been learn to use other people's money. Right. And this is free money. Right. This is money. This is where your tax dollars go. Okay. And most people don't realize that there are grants to purchase a house. I found a $90,000 veteran grant for veterans to purchase or refinance their houses. Okay. I found grants through the city and the county where they would give you money to help you purchase a house. There's a company called NACA. They are not credit driven. Right. They're income driven. Right. But their money comes from grants to help you get into home ownership. Wow. And they've been doing this for a long time, and you've been doing it for a long time. What are some of the ups and downs of grant writing that people, they just either don't understand or they get the misinformation? Well, some of the misinformation is most people that come to me think it's strictly for nonprofits, and that is not true. Okay. There are grants for for-profit entities. There are grants for the arts, like music, like if you want to do something to help disabled children. Right. Like if you wanted to give music to those that have nerve damage because it stimulates their bodies. Right. Or if you wanted to do music in your community or arts or discovering, new talent. Right. The National Endowment Foundation has millions of dollars. And is it public information how you can get these grants for these programs? Yes, but most people don't know where to look. Most people say, well, I don't know where to look. I didn't know this was available. There are grants available that we discovered, like my mom has cancer and she's a dialysis patient. There are grants for me as her caregiver. Okay. Most people don't know. Now that's some big news that you can get a grant as a caregiver
for a family member who is sick.
Yes.
And again, that's information that is not shared.
It's not shared.
Wow.
And these grants trickle down from the federal level to the state level.
Right.
There are grants to help you go back to school to further your education.
Now, I've been told there's grants that money that the government puts away in a bank account that is for the general public, for schools, for just like you said, with for family members to be able to take care of them. Again, how is it that this information is not being fed to the general public?
Well, the misconception is, and I really hate to say this, but it was misconception that this was only for white people.
Okay.
And that's not true. It's for white, Hispanics, black people, Indian people, Mexicans, people from Puerto Rico can get this money. But if you're not educated and you don't understand how to read a document, and I also do grant training. I teach people how to look at a grant, how to understand the language, how to read it. Most people just like, I don't want to do the red tape. I want you to do it.
Right.
But I specifically take on my students and help them to read and understand the document. So when that grant comes around again, you know what you're dealing with.
Right.
So I teach classes on this.
Right. And how long does it take to do the grant class? Like, is it a couple of days?
We have year-round classes.
Okay.
Because when the COVID-19 hit, I usually have a grant writing conference every year. But we could not do the conference for 2020 because the hotels were shut down.
Right.
They were told we couldn't do it. So all of the people that, wanted to come see me, said, hey, we know you give this free grant writing conference every year.
Right.
And I have people travel from all over the world to come see what I do.
Right.
And they couldn't do it because of COVID-19.
Wow. Well, we got to take a quick break and we'll be right back after these messages.
Hello, this is Chief Andres L. Mackey of AD Global Security. This segment is Let's Talk Security. Human trafficking in children. 27 million children are missing each year in human trafficking. And guess what? 50% of those are children. Over the holidays, you need to watch your children. When you walk with them, hold their hand. If you got to put a leash on them, do that. But when you're in the house, make sure your children are accounted for. Make sure you know where they're at all times. Use whatever you have to do necessary to watch your children. Make sure when you're out and about, you're shopping, you hold your kid's hand. Make sure at all times, because the human traffickers are out there. In Florida, guess what? Is number 3 in the nation. This is Chief Andres L. Mackey signing off.
Welcome back to MSN Podcast. I'm your host, Caliboi Jones, where we're here to motivate, strengthen, and network. And again, our guest today for this Christmas special is Miss Beverly Burgess, the Grant Guru. Now, she has given me some information, and this information just, is crazy. This is for HBCU colleges, especially for those who are of Native American, Black, historical Black colleges are the only ones, and universities who are the only ones who can apply for this grant itself. And can you help us understand the grant itself and what does it mean?
Okay, this is an HBCU cooperative grant, research and housing technology. So we're going to be taking a picture of this, but basically this grant, this $1 million grant, is geared toward smart housing, sustainable housing. And the grant specifically says it's for 4 people. It is a synopsis 3, and a synopsis 3 means they put this grant up 3 times. Okay. And when you read the grant, it tells you what is required, and it says only historical Black colleges and universities are eligible to compete for or receive awards made under this announcement. This comes under the Higher Education Act of 1965.
Ooh, 1965, that's a long time.
I was 2 years old then.
that was right before we lost Martin Luther King. 2 years after we lost, John F. Kennedy. With this kind of grant, is it at the colleges that they know about, that the students know about? How do they
Well,
get
there is,
information?
most colleges have a room. But if you don't know where to look, you don't know what to pull.
Gotcha.
And the reason it comes under the Higher Education Act of 1965 is because during that time, we were not being accepted to colleges. You know, universities were specifically made up for white people, but Hispanics and blacks were not being accepted to colleges. So when they got to this grant, and I know you guys are going to take a picture of this, it states right here at the bottom, only historically black colleges and universities may apply.
Wow.
Because they now see the funding hasn't been there for those of us that are minority races. Like, you know, I'm not ashamed to say I am 57 and fabulous. I am going back to school to finish my bachelor's degree. But back in the 60s, this information or grants that if you wanted to go to school, they were not made available to us. So now they are making these grants available to us of minority background.
Wow. All right, so let's talk about the next one right here. And this one is up for health, like $300,000 in this one, vision screening in young children. How does this one work?
Okay, this one comes under the Health and Human Services Administration. This grant is a forecast one, so it means this grant is going to expire in 2021. They noticed that in impoverished or underprivileged areas like Pine Hills or Paramore or some areas in Rosemont.
That's Central Florida. Just
That's Central Florida.
That's Orlando.
That's Orlando.
So we just let y'all know that's Orlando. So you're like, what? Yeah, that's Central Florida.
Right, so they're putting this up to treat the vision. Because a lot of kids go to school and you don't know they need glasses, or they may have a vision problem that it may be something hereditary in the family, but no one ever knew to look for it.
Right.
And you know, sometimes as parents we think our kids are just cutting up, and we may or may not punish them for the wrong reason. But a lot of parents are saying now, well, wait a minute, I feel kind of bad because I put my kid in timeout, but my kid couldn't see. Well, schools got away from nurses being in the schools.
Right.
So now the vision screening in young children is stepping up and saying, hey, we need to get back to, and it says right here, particularly those residing in medically underserved areas. So if you're an optometrist out there and you're listening to this and you're watching this, I encourage you to apply for this grant, because it will not only help build your business, but it will help you detect the sight issues that are in young children from ages 2 to 10 years old that we are completely overlooking.
Would this be considered as a pay it forward if the eye doctors got a hold of this, so that they can help those families who don't have the money?
They could actually use this money and not charge those families.
Wow. So you
Here it is.
Can take advantage of this grant to help less fortunate children and families who really need the help. Let's go look at this last one here. This is a really big number, $16 million. Am I reading that right?
That's $16 million. It's actually $16,100,000. Yeah, this is a good one. This is a huge one. And this is for the nursing workforce of diversity.
And we know in the medical field that we need our nurses, we need our doctors, we need our CNAs and all the N's and R's that go with healthcare. And I have several family members who are in the nursing field, who are in the medical field, period. And I know that what they go through, I see it, whether they write it on Facebook or they text me about it. But just to piggyback on it before we go to a commercial break, can you explain how this is? How does it work for those nurses?
Well, this is from the Health and Human Services, but it also comes under the National Institutes for Health, which is NIH grants. And the reason this is a nursing workforce diversity is because they want to educate nurses, particularly in Indian tribes, okay, or nurses, or African American nurses, or Hispanic nurses, because sometimes these nurses do not have the money to go back to school and keep up on their credits and further their education, because in nursing especially with COVID-19, you have to be aware of it changes like this every single day. So these nurses have taken out student loans, or these nurses have gone in debt to get their education.
Right.
The average nurse, believe it or not, in Central Florida is only making $22 an hour.
Wow.
But they owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans.
Right.
Well, under this grant, they can go back to school. But if you have Indian descent in you and you can prove that, and you come under like Cherokee tribes or Blackfoot tribes or whatever, this is made, afforded to you to go back and further your education to get those credits, so that you can not only bring it back to your community, but you can educate those in your community.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We got to pay some bills. Y'all know I don't like taking commercials, but we got to pay some bills. We'll be right back with Ms. Beverly Burgess, the Grant Guru.
Together, how we help.
Far is the echo, where do we start? You can learn to discover a million stars. Here in the shadows, I know you're scared. Take my hand, together we'll make a stand. We've got to fight to find a way. Dare to fall to find out what to say. No more hate. Just admit that you're just afraid. Time to let go of all your fears and pride. Stand up beside me, don't you hide. We can build a better place. If we can just find a way, then we can live a better day. Rise from the ashes, from the anger, from the war. Let's come together, lift your spirit for the cause.
Ready? Welcome back to MSN Podcast. That was Mo with the Business of the Week. Thank you, Mo, for that. And we're going to get back to this interview with Miss Beverly Burgess,
Hello.
the Grant Guru. Now,
Yes.
we've been talking about some good things, and we know people like money, but we also know there's nothing better than having free money. Money that you don't have to pay back, money that will help you start your business and move you along, get you going to school, get you getting a house, and even taking care of a family member who is, ill. So, Ms. B, let's go back to this last one, that $16 million grant. And is it this one?
That's the 16.5.
All right, so now y'all have to bear with us, because I'm not the Grant Guru. She has all this is millions of dollars that's right here sitting. Okay. Now this grant right here is $16.5 million. And I'm just amazed, because I've never held $16 million in my hand. So if it feels like this right here, it's from
We gonna get money.
So can you help us understand this one here?
Okay, this is a $16 million community opioid intervention pilot program.
Okay.
So let's say you have a family member that's on drugs, opioid addiction. You can actually get funding to start a pilot program in your community. Now it says here we're going to give out 33 awards, and the ceiling is $500,000. Well, you can just cut half of that 33 down to 15, and then you can cut out another 10, because somebody ain't gonna do stuff right.
Right.
Okay?
It's always that one person that don't want to do stuff right.
Okay. And it says Department of Health and Human Services, Indian Health Services.
Okay.
Because in the Indian tribes, they say drug addiction and especially opioids and alcohol is very, very high. Okay. But this is a pilot program, and they would not object to working with other partners.
Okay.
But it says specifically here that it is for Native American tribal governments federally recognized.
Okay.
So there is a process to this. You can get this funding, it can be done. But when you're working with Native American federally recognized tribal organizations, that gives you more influence. Okay, it gives you more influence. And so this total grant was put up on December 15th, which was just a couple of days ago.
Right.
And it expires, they will archive this grant on January 14th.
Wow, so they only have a short period of time to apply for this one.
And then you have this one.
Wow.
And this grant right here is for the Trade, Investment, and Economy Virtual Grant Program. They want you to talk about Canada. They will pay you $100,000 to talk about Canada.
Just to talk?
To get on Zoom.
Wow.
There you go.
Now, how does that really work? Because some people are like, that can't be that easy. That can't be that true. That you're just going to pay me $100,000 to talk.
This is where your federal money go. This is where your tax dollars go.
Wow.
Okay, you want to know more about Canada? Sign me up. I'm ready to prime minister. Okay?
All right.
I'm going to cut up on this one. I'm going to say, hey, what's shaking, prime minister? What's going on in Canada? I got my $100,000.
Right.
They want to build relationships.
Gotcha.
They want to work with people of minorities, about minority backgrounds, African Americans, Hispanics, Mexican. They want to work with you. Okay, you need to know what's going on in Canada, so when you get ready to do business in Canada, you didn't have to pay for it.
Wow.
Here it is.
A free $100,000 just to talk about Canada. All right, so let's get into the last leg of this interview, talking about HUD.
Yes, my favorite subject.
So, how does HUD work when it comes to the community? We know, right here in Central Florida, HUD is a big deal when it comes to building houses, when it comes to helping low-income families.
Right.
How does HUD really take care of its people?
Okay, most of us, if you put your address in, most of us don't know we live in what they call Hud Opportunity Zones.
Okay.
That means, based on your address, money was federally allocated to your area.
Okay.
And let me break this down and tell you who knows about this.
Please break it down for us, because we want to know.
Your city commissioner knows about it. Your county commissioner knows about it. Your state representative knows about it. And your congressional rep knows about it. But there's another little piece to this that most people don't even use. You can go down to your supervisor of elections and they'll tell you.
Really?
Yes. The HUD Opportunity Zones.
Let me take a moment right here. For those of you who go and vote, you know where the city elections is. You go down there, you cast your vote, and then you can ask them about this information. So we can't always say, well, I didn't know, because there's always information out there. There's Google. You can Google anything. All right? So,
and with the HUD Opportunity Zones, you can find houses in your area. HUD has houses that, okay, when you buy a house, the money comes from HUD. When a house goes into foreclosure, it doesn't go back to the bank, it goes back to HUD. Okay. HUD has a list of houses for $1. Wow. A list. Okay. HUD has houses that they can federally allocate money to you to rehabilitate your house. Like my cousin bought a house. And he didn't have the money to come out of pocket. So he went through the city of Orlando, got a grant to purchase the house. Then he got a grant, another $35,000 in money from HUD through the city to put in a sustainable hot water heater, put in lights that last 10 years. He got hurricane windows. Hurricane windows ain't cheap.
Ooh, no, they're not.
Okay, he got screens. His house got upgraded. And guess who paid for it? The city of Orlando.
Wow. So Orlando, y'all know how this works. Y'all make sure the information you see on the bottom of the screen, where you can email Miss Burgess to get this information, to talk to her. How can people reach you besides what they said, the email? I mean, you're on social media.
I'm on social media.
Gotta be on social media in order for me to reach out to you.
I'm on Facebook under Beverly D. Burgess. And the way you can reach me is Beverly Burgess, Beverly, Burgess, Burgess, gmail.com. Right. And I can promise you this will not be my last time back on this
show. No, we're going to bring it back in. When we bring it back in the studio, we will have my co-host, Miss Monique Blue, who is off the chain, and I know she can't wait to be able to sit down and talk with you and you know, get these questions in. It'll be a lot deeper than me, because I'll just try to keep it light and fluffy. But, you know, one of the things that I want to say is I applaud you for the things you're doing right now in the community.
Thank you.
How you're working towards helping those to understand what it is to be, not only just to get a grant, but to become a professional guru. Do you know how hard it is to become a guru? Like, you really have to put some time in, like being a sensei of, you know, martial arts. So that's like you the sensei of the guru. You know,
I'm the sensei of the guru.
Yeah.
You know, so what I'm saying to you guys is this. There is money out here to not only help yourselves, but to help your community. There is money for profit entities as well as non-profit entities. There's money to help people with disabilities. Right. There's money to help people that need, if you have to be a caregiver. You know, there are grants they're giving out, you know, Gardner grants, McKay scholarships to educate our children. Right. Especially if you have a child that's disabled and homebound. Right. There are grants for teachers and nurses who are on the front lines to go back to school.
We know how deep it is and how serious it is for our teachers to have the proper help and money just to even fund, you know, putting their classroom together. And we know teachers don't get paid a lot, but their heart is what pays it forward.
Is in the right place. So I'm going to make a special offer tonight for those that need help with your paperwork. This morning.
It's dark outside.
It's dark outside. So I get my days and nights confused. Excuse me. I know Will's going to cut that out. But this morning, what I'm saying to you guys is, if you need my help, if you have a nonprofit, if you're struggling with your paperwork, you know, I don't mind teaching a class for free. My time, my own expense. I bring in all the paperwork for you, and I will help teachers, I will help doctors, I will help nurses, firefighters, paramedics, police officers. You're out there on the front line. I want to help those in the community and educate you, because once you have it here, no one can take that from you.
That's right. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining us, and as always, we're here to motivate, strengthen, and network. But before we get out of here, I do have a positive note for this Monday morning for you, and that it says, ain't no blessing like the blessing you haven't had in a long time. And since we're in the holiday season, make sure that you take the time to bless somebody else other than yourself. If you haven't missed a meal, if you haven't missed a roof over your head, water, you know, to drink and to take a bath, there's somebody out here this holiday season. We know this pandemic has been crazy. Take the time to help somebody else, bless somebody else other than yourself, because you're already blessed. No matter what you do, look out for somebody else. I love y'all. There's nothing you can do about it as long as you have faith, commitment, and love. Anything is possible in this world. We thank you for joining us for this Christmas special. We thank you, Miss Beverly B, for being on the show.
Thank you.
And tune in on Monday, every Monday, on the CW17. MSN Podcast TV with me, Caliboi Jones, and my co-host Monique Blue, and we will talk to y'all again. Holla at you later.